Hi guys, you should be watching this if you've just done a little practice test at the start of C1. Now this video is not going to stay up for long for obvious reasons, so please make the most of it while it's there. But it should make sure you know how to answer every single question correctly and therefore on track to get the grade that you want. Now to start off with, it starts off really simple, so I'm not going to spend too much time, but this is essentially what you're doing. You're multiplying the bracket outside by both the terms inside. Sorry, the term on the outside by both the terms on the inside. So x squared plus 2xy, be careful with the negatives, that's minus 6xy's, and a minus times a minus is a plus, so that's 3y squareds. Now we can tidy up these two like terms to be x squared. 2 take away 6 is minus 4, so it's minus 4xy and 3y squared. You need all of that for 2 marks. Now let's just move it down a tad. Okay, so this squared means this is being multiplied by each other, by itself. So I like to write it out in full. So we're going to do the first two terms multiplied together, so that's 16x squared. Then the first times the last, so that's minus 12xy. We're going to have another one of those here. Oops. And these last two terms multiplied together will give me 9y squareds. So just like before, we have like terms which we can collect. So it'll be 16x squareds minus 24xy's plus 9y squareds. So I've done that fast, but if you need to pause the video and work out what I've done, please do so, but you should be fine. Okay, so now factorize. So we have 3 types of factorizing: single bracket, double bracket, and what we call completing the square. But when they just say the words factorize, it's either 1 bracket or 2 brackets. We normally tell you we want it in the complete the square form. Now, because there's nothing common, I know this one is 2 brackets. So nothing common to each of the terms. And because we have a square number in both, I know this is the difference between 2 squares. So if you don't know what that is, you need to look it up. So I'm simply square rooting the first one and the last one. And it has to be a plus and a minus, and if you expand it, you'll see that there are no k terms. What I mean is this: if I do this one, I'd get minus 6k, and this one would give me 6k, and therefore no k's, and this hasn't got any k's in it. So that's the answer. Here, this is ridiculously easy. So 7x is the highest common factor, so x minus 3. Now, the next one's definitely harder. The reason it's harder because we have a coefficient here of x squared. So you need to realize that all quadratic expressions are written in this form. So what we normally do is multiply the a part with the c part when this coefficient of x squared here is greater than 1. So in this case, 5 times 3 would be 15. So what are the factors of 15? So we have 15 and 1, and we have 5 and 3. So which of these factor pairs can I make a negative 16 from? So that's going to be like that. So I'm going to rewrite this question as this. So 5x squared, instead of minus 16x, I'm going to write minus 15x minus 1x plus 3. And then what we do is we factorize these two terms. So highest common factor, minus, so it's a minus. Now there's only one common number here, and that's 1. So that's all I can take out. Now if you've done this correctly, these 2 brackets should be the same. And it gets a little bit tricky when it's like this, but think about it. If we have a minus 1 here and we're multiplying it by a minus 3, we would get this plus there. So that combination, that multiplication would give us this result. So we know we've done it right. So the first bracket is the outside terms, so the 5x and the minus 1, and the repeated bracket is our second one. So we're going to finish start and finish question 3, or we haven't even finished D yet, and then we're going to do the others in a different video. Right, this is tough. This is asking you to think a bit more, because we don't normally have a cubic when we're asked to factorize, not at this level anyway. So you needed to see, oops, what happened there? My computer's doing something so it goes a bit funny. So if you divide by x, you would get this. Now this part here should look familiar. You should realize that there is nothing common, so you need to each term, so you have to use double brackets. So it's going to be an x and an x. And the factors of 20 that you can make a -1 from are -5 and +4. That's it. Now, we're moving on from factorizing to solving. So when you solve anything with a quadratic, you have to get everything on one side. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Now, when everything's there, you have to factorize it. Oik. There we go, sorry about that. So x minus 3. And so we're going to have x. Sorry, my computer must be going through some sort of update, and it can't seem to do two things at once. Let me just... Okay, that should be fixed now. So we have this first term, so we have x is equal to 0, and we have this x minus 3. X minus 3 is equal to 0. So therefore x must be 3. So we need these two answers here to get these 2 marks. Now this one, this form here with the 2 brackets, that's what we want it in, because we can then just go to the final step. But it has to be equal to 0, and at the moment it's equal to 2. So our only choice really is to expand the part on the left. So we do that, we get x squared minus 5x plus 6. Now, like I said earlier, with a quadratic, everything has to be on one side. So let's do that. Let's move it down a tad. Okay, so now we have to factorize it. I can't have that there, hang on. So we're going to have x and x. Factors of 4, then we make a minus 5, so that must be minus 4 and minus 1. And therefore we have this bracket here, so x minus 4 is equal to 0, and x minus 1 is equal to 0. So x is 4 and x is 1. There's probably a lot of you that just skip this line of work in here and just go from there to there, which is absolutely fine. But it gets, the reason I do it is because it helps with the harder ones. So the last question on this video is this part. So we have to factorize this, and it has a coefficient of x squared again. So a times c gives us 30. So the factors of 30 are 30 and 1. We can't make a 13 from that. 15 and 2. We can make 13 from that. But we've also got 10 and 3, which we can make 13 from. So when you get this sort of example, and 6 and 5, it doesn't. So you've got to be really careful which one of these you use. And what should happen, if you use the wrong one, your brackets probably won't match up. So we need to think about it. So to make minus 13, I could do this. I could have minus 15 and plus 2, or minus 10 and minus 3. So let's look at the last term, because we do know that these are going to be multiplied together. So this is a positive value. So if I have a minus and a plus, when I multiply that together, I will get a negative. So it's definitely not those. Therefore, it must be these. Right, so 3x squared, and it's probably easier if I write this one first, but I don't think most of you would do that. So I'm going to just do it this way. So here, if I factorize these two terms, the only thing common is an x. So then I have 3x minus 10 minus, again there's nothing common here apart from a 1. And you'll see that if I write the exact same bracket, minus 1 times 3x is minus 3x, and minus 1 times negative 10 or minus 10 is a positive 10. So it works. So we have x minus 1, the outside terms, our first bracket, and we have 3x minus 10 is our second bracket. So x minus 1 is 0, so x is 1. And this is what I meant earlier, so it's harder to see. You can still skip the stage, but 3x will be equal to 10, x will be equal to 10 thirds, or we can say 3 1/3. Okay, so that's it for this video, and we'll do the rest in the next one.